listening to the #2 kindness podcast in the world, according to FeedSpot.
Welcome to the Kindness Chronicles, where we hope to inject the world with a dose of the Minnesota kindness that it desperately needs. Yes, you're not hearing John's voice, you're hearing me, Steve Brown. I'm here with Jeff, you and I are in charge today.
We're doing the best we can with just two of us.
Our fearless leader, John, is out. We've taken over the KCP studios in his house.
Where is John?
He's at an Earth, Wind, and Fire concert, right? Is that right?
It's Lionel Richie. I think Earth, Wind, and Fire is opening for them, but both good musicians.
Yeah, Lionel Richie and Earth, Wind, and Fire. And apparently he said he needed to go because his wife forgot to tell him that they had tickets on this date where we're recording, and they went on their first date together. Is that what he said?
Yeah, they saw Lionel Richie in 1986. I don't know if it was their first date, but it was their first concert
1986?
Together. Yeah.
That's a long time ago.
I know. Speaking of a long time ago.
Yeah.
What did you do this week here? You had kind of a cool week, didn't you?
I did. I had a great week. So we had our guests, Kelly and Eric Olson, on last week. They were our guests. Kelly asked me to be a part of the Special Olympics. It was the Special Olympics USA Games ESPN Unified Sports Challenge. So it was a big volunteer event, but Kelly and Eric are like in charge of the thing. And it was an enormous event at Allianz Field. And we had celebrity coaches. So there was football players, athletes, all kinds of different people. Adam Thielen from the Vikings, Joe Mauer from the Vikings, or from the Twins, Walter Rouse was this great dude that I met, new Vikings player. Jalen Suggs from the Orlando Magic. Just a bunch of great people that were there at this event. So there's celebrity coaches, and then there were athletes, and then students that were student athletes with the athletes. So it was this great, huge promo.
That's really cool,
event.
Stephen. What was your job?
My job was to hang and be sort of the accompany Mr. Jimmy Jam.
Okay.
So legendary music. What is it?
Producer, maybe?
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Grammy winning. I know that.
And Rock and Roll Hall of Fame winner, Grammy winner.
Yeah.
Just an all-around incredibly talented guy to the Minnesota music scene. He was a member of The Time at one point, member of the Prince's whole gang of people. He had incredible stories to share with me. We talked all day. I hung with him. I helped him get from place to place as far as getting through the crowds and stuff.
What is that we're looking at right now on this monitor?
That's his DJ booth setup. So he was on the field playing music in between events and, kind of like setting the stage. And it was great. I was actually I wasn't standing on the stage all day. That was just helping get some stuff set up.
That's cool, though.
But yeah, I was with him all day and watching him scratching and, doing the DJ stuff. It was really cool.
What's he like as a person?
He is an incredible guy. Super smart, super kind, super gracious, super talented. Everybody that was in his orbit that came near him wanted to say hello to him, and he had a gracious smile and a handshake or whatever anyone needed. He was just really... everyone got a chance to say hi to him if they wanted to. He was just great, really great guy. And he loves music. He understands what music does. He understands what he means to Minnesota. And it was just great for me to spend the day with him. I was super lucky to do it. So there's a whole group of other people here. This is Matt from the American Ninja Warrior. He's the host of that. This is John Barry in the center. He's a Timberwolves sideline guy. This is Carrie... Tollefson.
Okay.
She's an Olympic runner. She was super great. These guys were all kind of on-field reporting and guiding the whole thing. When Matt was the lead guy explaining how the event went. But incredible day, exhausting, but so worth it. I'm so proud. I'm actually wearing the shirt that they gave me and stuff.
So cool.
It was great.
I, as you were sort of feeding us images throughout your week working with him, I was reminded of a cool documentary I saw back in 1988 when I was a senior. I was super into drums. I thought I was going to move to New York or LA, and it was called the Minneapolis Sound. And there's a really cool segment where Jimmy Jam Harris takes you on a tour of Flight Time Productions where all the magic happened. I never met him, but he just seemed like he would be a fun guy to hang out with. So.
He was, and it was a pleasure. And not only that, but this amazing event. So this is really a promo event, like ESPN promo event for the Special Olympics. And man, the joy and the just what's coming out of that is spectacular to see. It was actually kind of really moved to see, even in this promo thing that I was watching, these people were having a great time, and there's some great experiences. Crowds were going crazy. It was great.
Fun. Well, congrats on that.
So we have some guests here in the studio sitting patiently listening to us banter.
Jake and Katie.
You have an introduction for them. We want to hear all about what they're doing.
As America approaches its 250th birthday, it's hard to imagine our nation's history without the sound of marching music. From Revolutionary War fifes and drums to hometown parades and Friday night football games, marching bands have provided the soundtrack to American life for generations. For more than a century, Forest Lake has been a part of that tradition. As a member of the school's marching band myself in the late 1980s, I experienced firsthand how music connects people, builds community, and creates a sense of pride and belonging that spans generations. Today, that tradition's being carried forward by two people committed to ensuring the next generation experiences that same sense of community. Jake Matheson and Katie DuBois have helped revive a proud tradition while creating a place where hundreds of young people have discovered confidence, belonging, and purpose. Today, we'll explore their stories and how the influence of great teachers echoes across generations. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Kindness Chronicles, Jake Matheson and Katie DuBois.
Woo! Thanks for having us here.
Yeah.
All the way from Forest Lake, Minnesota. It's so great.
A long
my
drive
hometown.
to White Bear.
Yes.
It's great to have you here. Thank you for coming down here.
Let's just begin with, how did you get into music? Tell us the origin story of Jake Matheson.
Well, my story begins on kind of a unique note compared to what you might expect from a music teacher. I joined the school band in 6th grade, mostly to get out of the general music class, just to try something new. I wanted to play the saxophone. Decided I'm going to play the saxophone, and then Music Connection in Forest Lake at the time was transitioning from an older model onto a new system where you had to have a credit card to get an instrument. This makes me sound older than I am.
Those fancy new credit cards.
Right. My parents didn't have a credit card, so I was told, like, you can be in the band, but you got to play something the school owns. So Sandy Briggs, who was my 6th grade band teacher, found me in the hallway, and she's like, do you want to play the French horn or the tuba? And I'm like, I don't know what either of those things are. Like, well, just tell me what to do. She's like, well, you're tall. I've been almost the same height since. You're tall. You can play the tuba. I'm like, okay. Went home. This also makes me sound old. Looked up in the encyclopedia.
Wow.
The tuba.
There
was a picture of a sousaphone, actually, the giant, marching tubas that wrap around you. Was like, I don't know what I got myself into, but kind of from there, I found a place to belong. I hadn't been in other school activities or anything outside of school. I did a lot of, stay at home, reading, that kind of stuff. So being part of the band started in 6th grade and just kind of evolved from there.
Were you ever bummed out like that's what you got, because it's kind of a big instrument carrying a bus and stuff?
Good question.
Like, the flute or the piccolo or even the saxophone's smaller. It's kind of you got to. That's your partner on a bus seat. I mean, that's pretty big, right?
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing when you play a big school-owned instrument is, the band wants somebody to play the tuba, so they give you two of them.
Okay.
So one stays at home.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, so you don't have to haul it around on the bus as much.
Yeah, that's good.
Obviously, marching band, you got to haul it on your shoulder, but
yeah. Okay, that's good.
I saw a story about you taking private lessons with Mr. Hahn. I played under Mr. Hahn during the years of 85 to 88. So he was a big influence. The band was at its peak then. We went to the Rose Bowl and played for the World Series and
big
just
time.
A number of things. But that caught my attention. Tell us a little about your exposure to Mr. Hahn.
So my 6th grade band teacher, Sandy Caslow Briggs, saw something in me that, like, hey, this kid's got talent. This kid is going to work hard. And Mr. Hahn at the time was doing some summer lessons. The marching band program had kind of gone by the wayside. By that point, he was teaching some summer lessons, and Sandy Briggs was like, hey, Rich, you got to take this kid. I think he was mostly working with high schoolers that are, like preparing for all-state auditions in college and that kind of high-level stuff. And me being a 12-year-old, it was like, hey, like he had to be kind of convinced, like, this is going to be worth your time. And that first summer I took lessons with him, he pushed me like crazy. Like I didn't know, coming from beginning band, like you learn to play, 3-4 notes at first. And,
Yeah.
Right.
And then you've got like, okay, you're going to go have lessons with this high school band teacher that's, done all these amazing things. And
Were you nervous at all? Because he's kind of an intense guy.
he was, one-on-one, I would say he's a lot less intense than when he was in front of a group. At the time didn't really know a whole lot about him other than that, he was the recommended, you should really take lessons with this guy. I think you'll learn a lot. And he pushed me, he taught me so many things. And like, he gave me long assignments of like, you got to do this, find this recording of this Mozart horn concerto and listen to it and tell me what you think about it. Just really like making me think about music in a different way than just like the mechanics of like, here's what we do.
Yeah.
Did you have piano or anything as a bassist in the beginning?
Nope.
Okay.
Started on the tuba.
Good. I feel like that was kind of the thing with band. I wanted to play the drums, and everybody did.
Yep.
But they said they pushed us back and said, "Well, you got to learn piano first." Like,
Yep.
I just want to play drums.
Do you guys remember Quiet Riot? One way to get attention as a drummer was to play their song, Come On, Feel the Noise. And I would play that beat and you would instantly get everybody looking at you and going, yeah, because that was the hot thing on the radio. So it was fun to be a drummer.
That's the 80s.
Everyone wants to be a drummer.
Yeah.
Until it's time to move
showcase.
all the drums all the time.
Right.
Yeah, that's
then
difficult.
It doesn't get fun then. All right. So I have a piece of media that I'm going to show, and I'm interested in the backstory of this.
Each school in the district has been asked to submit proposals on ways of reducing costs by 10% by September. This is what I've decided. The entire music program, and art and drama.
Jake Matheson of Forest Lake has the same problem. The marching band in his future school no longer exists. Jake actually carried his vintage tuba in 2 different bands in the July 4th parade. First, the yellow-shirted city band, and then running to the back of the line of march, he joined his junior high school band, still wearing the city band's yellow shirt. The 15-year-old is on the march with a mission.
Bring back the marching band. That's my main goal.
His is a solo song for now in Forest Lake, but he's not giving up.
I think there's a possibility. We're getting new school board members.
Minnesota's marching bands have long been public displays of community pride, but a decades-long drought of dollars is raining on the parade. For the KARE 11 News Extra, I'm Alan Costantini.
Wow.
I think you were maybe in 8th grade. In that KARE 11 report. So tell us what was going on in the world of just band and music at that time from maybe your perspective now as a director.
Looking back, when I'm teaching kids, what I kind of lean into and look for in kids, or what I see in kids a lot, is that they're looking for a place to belong. And I think, related to my personal experience, like being out in the junior high marching band, the picture that's on the screen there, it's me in 7th grade. And one of the guys in the row in front of me there is still my best friend to this day. He was the best man in my wedding.
Cool.
When kids are looking for a place to belong and they don't necessarily have another place or another support network, I think the band really became that for me in a lot of ways. I was in junior high at Century Junior High with Mario Lockway and Carol Rupar. And just going through my own, being a teenager, it sucks.
It's hard enough. Pretty important phase. And to have something to go to and to work toward and work together on, that's amazing. That's exactly what you want. That's what you need in high school. And
so somewhere where you feel valued and somewhere where you feel like you belong, that is what it was for me. And I didn't want that to end, is why I was pushing for, we got to have a high school marching band. Like, this can't just be 7th through 9th grade and then done.
Did you know about the legacy of what had happened in the 80s back then?
From just north of Minneapolis and St. Paul, in the land of 10,000 lakes, my home, Minnesota, the Forest Lake High School Marching Band.
I mean, I didn't know to the extent of what the Forest Lake High School Band had done. I'm sure I saw them when I was a little kid at the parades.
Interesting. Okay. So you didn't have the backstory.
But I didn't really have the backstory of like, all the Rose Bowl and the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade and all of that stuff at the time.
Yeah.
Obviously more of that came out when it's like I was asking about this, and then there's like this community uprising of like, yeah, we need to do that again. And I knew a little bit about it just from my parents both being Forest Lake High School alumni and their friends, having friends that were in the band.
So how did the news story come to you? How did you become a centerpiece of that news story?
So when I was 14 and 15 years old, I was like petitioning at the school board. Of like, hey, you got to bring the marching band back.
So you were the impetus.
That's not
pushing.
a real typical 15-year-old
it's
set
not.
of behavior. So there's got to be more to it than that. Who did someone push you? Did you say, I really want this, and your mom and dad helped you, or what? Tell us about the support structure.
I think just like the local civic engagement. My grandparents were involved in local politics, and my mom was like, if that's what you want, like I'll support you, whatever it's going to take. Pretty awesome. So for her to like here's who you should ask, and okay, we got to message the principal of the high school at the time, and get this answer from the activities director, and this.
I think that probably is more powerful coming from a kid than from another teacher or
100%.
a director or someone in charge. Like if the kids want it, this kid's passionate about it. He loves it. He's finding connection. I mean, that's so smart of whoever was encouraging you. But I mean, not that it's manipulative. You really want to do it. You're
Right.
just being the voice of it. That's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And so just so I'm understanding, you're 7th grade here. You must be in Mr. Ron's band.
Yep. Phil Ron. Yep. Phil Ron was the Southwest Junior High band teacher from 1980 until he retired in 2011.
Great guy.
Yeah. Super awesome guy.
Yeah.
Relaxed, fun to be around.
Yeah.
And he was the junior high marching band director for many, many years. And he was the marching band director when I was in it.
And are those considered tubas or sousaphones, or what are those?
Sousaphones.
Sousaphones. Okay.
Yep.
They're huge. That's why I'm like,
yeah.
and you weren't marching
Sousaphone.
here. Is that because the band was so small that you were just riding in a pickup here playing?
So I didn't realize it at the time, but because it was just normal. I didn't know any better, but the marching band had shrunk to the size. I think there was like 25 to 30 people in it. And he had made the decision that we were going to ride on a float that year. So the band's on a float on a trailer behind that truck. And then the low brass folks got shoved in the trailer bed there.
Funny. So you're like, I like this, but I want to make it bigger. And you start polling the school board and things like that. And what were the results of that?
I mean, definitely got attention, when you bring up something that's been such a legacy and tradition in the community.
When you said a community uprising, give us an example.
pitchforks and
all
shovels.
of a sudden it's like, okay, a front page of the newspaper, in the Star Tribune, on Care 11, marching band directors from Rosemont, Apple Valley are calling my parents like, hey, do you want to drive them down to be in our program? I feel like I poked a bear that I didn't quite know.
Yeah.
I think it was kind of a sore spot for a lot of people that loved that program so much when it was eliminated.
It sounds like not just in Forest Lake, but in the state of Minnesota in general, you poked a bear.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at school funding across decades, it obviously hasn't kept up with inflation.
Yeah,
and things that are considered extra would be the first to go in the list of priorities. A lot of times,
yeah, which is too bad. Just because it's such a great program. There's a float that came out in, I think it was 2022. It was like,
band directors, this is for you. We've got a precedent-setting double entry. It's a float and a band that salutes America's band leaders. First, the float. We teach music. We teach life.
As you've developed it, you've seen what these kids are capable of when you give them a good task or something that stretches them.
I want to talk to Katie, sitting there quietly and patiently. You guys know each other because Jake was your teacher, right? Okay, so that's fascinating. I know you're going to get to it, but that's kind of interesting, right? You're You're a U of M grad, but you also went to Forest Lake? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You have questions. I just wanted to kind of clarify and let her say her, say something.
Well, tell us about your background. You grew up in Forest Lake, and how did you get started, and what instrument do you play?
Yeah. I went to Wyoming Elementary. I graduated from Forest Lake in 2022, just for reference too. Okay. So when it was like 5th grade, time to pick instruments or whatever, I did not want to join band. My mom made me because of the fact that like I could read notes, and my parents weren't involved in music. They can't read notes or anything like that. So they were like, well, you can, so you have to at least try it out. So
redeem our family in some way.
You've been cursed with reading music, so you have to.
Yeah. So when it was time to pick instruments or whatever, we had played recorder like all through elementary school. And I was like, oh, well, one of my friends at the time, it was like they started playing the clarinet because it was like the recorder and they were good at it and it was easy. So I was like, okay, I'll do that because
and it's small. It's not a tuba. Like Jake had.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'll just play clarinet for a year and then I'll quit because I don't want to be in music. So my mom made me join band. I picked clarinet. And I fell in love with it really quickly. I really liked it.
Did you think it was going to be too much work? Like, why didn't you want to do it? And then why did you end up loving it?
It was too much work, and I didn't want to play an instrument. I just wanted to do general music, get that requirement done with, and then drop out. But yeah.
So what'd you love about it?
I just liked playing it. It was fun. I liked being in band class. In 6th grade, it was fun because it was like a once a week kind of on Fridays type of thing. And I thought that was fun. I don't know. I just really liked it.
And playing with other people is kind of cool. Is there any gratification for that? Like once you get going, like it's kind of moving, right? To actually start playing something and find out that you're creating a piece of music together.
Yeah.
I've never played in band. I played in bands. I've never played with a big high school band. That would be so gratifying, I think, to be a part of something really big.
Yeah. Yeah, I made a lot of friends in like 6th grade band too, and especially because we had like private lessons with like just like clarinets, like just flutes, whatever. That was really fun too because I got to just do kind of what I could on my instrument. So,
when did you become Jake's student?
Yeah,
7th grade. Okay, 7th grade band.
I started teaching band that fall at Southwest. So I had interacted with Katie, but I wasn't her teacher in 6th grade. We were in the rooms next door. To each other. I was teaching choir, shockingly. And then she was in my first 7th grade band class of my band teaching career.
What was it like to be his student?
It was great. I really liked middle school band. Dare I say I liked it a lot more than high school band. It was really fun.
Really?
Yeah. It was just because it was such like, I don't know, what was it, like 70?
There were 72 7th graders in that room. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
And a first-year teacher, yeah.
That sounds like a lot for you to have to handle, right? Control everybody and like keep them all engaged and keep them interested. Yeah, that's not easy for anybody.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just a really fun environment. I know everybody was like, oh no, middle school was kind of like a time before people kind of like spread off into like their own kind of like cliques and different friend groups and stuff like that. So just like everybody in the whole class was friends, and it was like a really supportive and good environment to be in. It was like my first or second class of the day. So it was always something I looked forward to. It was a good way to start my day.
Yeah.
So
this struck me when I was listening to your showcase concert last year, Jake. So we'll just pay attention to the announcer and the mission of the band.
Over the course of this summer, the band has spent countless hours together with 20 performances across our community and the state of Minnesota. The Forest Lake Marching Band continues to live out its mission to cultivate teamwork, leadership, and personal responsibility, to deliver high-quality musical performances, to create engaging and memorable performances, to strengthen the bond between our schools, music programs, and the community, and above all, to have fun while creating unforgettable experiences. Through dedication, leadership, and joy, this band has become more than a program. It is a family.
How is it a family, if you can react to that, either of you?
I think when you share a common goal with people, or a common experience. It just ties you together. And the marching band specifically, like you're doing academic-ish type things, but largely, you've got the opportunity to go out to different communities. You've got all these different facets of the program where you're socializing, as well as making music together. That just kind of brings you together like a team mentality.
I saw the Manitou Days parade, and it was a rainy day. So you have to obviously be prepared for whatever is going to be coming your way, whether it's really hot, cold, rainy. In Minnesota, you as a director have to be ready and let these kids help these kids be ready. What I was going to say was, aside from being a musical, they have to be smart enough to be able to play their instrument, learn their instrument, play together, but there's still a physical aspect to it. You're marching, you're walking a long way, and you have to keep people focused. And it's a physical thing. Sometimes a pretty grueling endurance factor.
Yep.
That's something that people don't think about. They just, oh, that's great, that's a parade. But these kids are walking a long time in the heat, in the rain. How do you prepare for that kind of thing?
We do a lot of marching around the streets of Forest Lake to prepare them. Talk a lot about hydration, and to be able to mentally prepare for, like, you are on display all the time. You're representing the band. You're representing the school. And really, the people come to parades to see you. Like, no one's going to a parade to see the politicians, right?
The realty truck with the people for the realty company. No, you want that excitement. And that's me and Jeff were talking about. That just what a parade does. What the marching band does for a parade. That's the reason you're there. It's a spectacle of sight and sound, and everybody perks up when they hear the drums coming. It's just a really cool experience.
This is an article indicating how you were awarded the prestigious national award by Yamaha 40 Under 40. And I was reading all about the culture, the leadership, your approach to band, leading the kids, creating a culture of inclusivity and things like that. That was kind of where I wanted to get to. And we've got a picture of teachers up here. And I know you're a pretty young guy. And you've been inducted into the Forest Lake Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Are there some lessons you learned from some of these people that informed your leadership style and how you approach the band?
The picture on the screen is, that's the team that's backing me up outside of my family, still to this day.
Who are we looking at?
So Phil Ron on the left there was the Southwest band teacher. He wasn't my actual band teacher, but I had him for marching band. And then Maria Lockway is next. So she was one of my two middle school band teachers at Century Junior High, along with Carol Rupar. Mm-hmm. In the middle there, Carol's definitely like the heart of the heart of the music program to me when I was a student. And then on my other side there is Sandy Briggs, who was my beginning band teacher and continued to show up and provide opportunities even when I was out of her classroom. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you've got a team of educators that went way above and beyond for me throughout my whole Forest Lake education.
So I just want to, what do you think they saw in you as a kid, aside from just, sounds like you were hardworking? What was it? What is it that you're looking for in a kid, and what do they see in you? What are the elements and those traits that you're kind of looking for and that they maybe saw in you early on?
Something that I always tried to do was I would try to give back to the program. Like when I was in high school, I would go over and teach lessons at the junior highs, or help with their concerts, or the school timelines would line up so that I could go to an elementary school at 2:30 and help with their band rehearsal. So I did a lot of that, like volunteer work. Because of that, when I was in junior high, I had decided that that's what I wanted to do with my life, was to teach band.
That's cool. So you automatically realized you got to share this stuff. It's so cool and it's so gratifying.
And I think in a lot of ways, the ways that these teachers showed up for me inspired me to give back and show up for others.
Another story I saw, Jake, your alma mater for college, maybe got wind of you and then put on a concert at Forest Lake. That's University of South Dakota, right?
Yep.
Tell us a little about that.
So when I was in high school, I was looking at college choices as one does, and I wanted to go somewhere that was, number one, affordable. And, you know, I kind of wanted to be a little ways away from Forest Lake, being a third generation graduate and like knowing everybody in town, my family.
Sure.
It felt like, I could go try something new. So I was looking at a couple of colleges in North and South Dakota. And when I toured at University of South Dakota, the low brass professor there, Dr. Jonathan Alvis, just was like, we need you to come here. Like, we need a tuba player. We need you to come here. What can I do? He was like writing me letters and like offering me virtual lessons.
That's cool.
And he was, at the time he was a young guy that was just getting started in his collegiate career.
They want motivated people. They want someone who's going to help hold up their team. That's cool.
So as a result of that, the South Dakota Coyotes, for whatever reason, ended up playing football at the U of M, and so their stop on the way, their practice performance was in Forest Lake. So they came. He brought the whole marching band up, played at Forest Lake High School.
Wow.
Played in the stands with us. It rained then too.
Of course.
And then, that was kind of the story with him recruiting me.
Wow.
Really cool.
He really sought after you. He didn't want to stop till you, and it worked.
Yeah, and he too had a lot of the same traits that I'm talking about with, going above and beyond to support kids, and he was a mentor and a friend to me too.
That's so cool.
Last year you put a showcase concert on, and when you introduced Katie to the crowd.
Tonight would not have been possible without Katie. She single-handedly wrote and taught all the field work. She even took the time to watch videos of Mr. Richard Hahn's field shows from the 80s and 90s and was able to recreate some of the formations, that Mr. Hahn wrote. Katie has been bugging me since she was 12 years old, asking why does Forest Lake not have a field marching band? And it turns out she grew up to make it happen herself. Let's please give Katie a round of applause.
How did you go from, I don't know if I want to play clarinet, to asking your teacher if you...
It's a big step.
So after sixth grade band ended, I got really into just watching like college marching bands, so like the U of M and like Ohio State and just whatever I could find online. And coincidentally, that's the year that you brought the marching band back.
Oh, cool.
And I didn't realize that was happening until I saw like the newspaper article about it and like the 4th of July parade. And I was like, I didn't realize like we had a marching band. So I joined my summer after 7th grade. So 2017 was when I joined on clarinet, which was a lot of fun. And then I fell in love with it even more. But I would often compare like things I'd see from other high school bands and what we were doing. And that's when I got really annoying with all my like, hey, why don't we do this? Or we should do this. We should do this.
Ambitious ideas.
Yeah.
Because you'd been seeing such big things at these big college stuff. You were like, we can do better.
Yeah. I had a lot of ideas. And then the following year, so when I was going into 9th grade, I became the drum major, which I had for 5 years. And that allowed me to really just like do a lot of different things, help out in a lot of unique ways. Cause I wasn't playing the clarinet. I was at the front of the band conducting. That was really fun. And then I just fell in love with it even more.
This is from 1986, the NFL Vikings show. And Mr. Hahn was very much an innovator. And I don't know if you had ever heard the name Red McLeod from the University of Minnesota, but I think he learned a lot through him. I was too young to understand all the dynamics, but I remember him coming into our band room and being really excited. Just got off the phone with Red McLeod, and we would laugh at it, but he was excited, and that got us excited. But had you ever seen footage of the Forest Lake band doing these kinds of things on the field?
I hadn't until we had just digitized these like last year, I think. Yeah. So I hadn't seen any of this until like last year. I'd seen videos from like Macy's Day and Rose Bowl, but I hadn't seen actually any like field shows.
Yeah.
So
you saw the street marching, but when Mr. Hahn passed away, and tragically he and his wife were hit by a car.
A beloved band director and his wife were killed in a car crash on Friday. And tonight, former students are remembering Richard Hahn, who worked at Forest Lake High School for decades. His impact, though, lasting lifetimes.
Yeah, I'd seen some of the videos because they were in a file cabinet up in the music storage when I was in high school. I watched some of them just because I was interested. But I thought that all the videos were gone until his son Marcus reached out and he's like, hey, do you have a use for these? Like, I don't need to just hold on to them. And I offered to digitize all the archival videos that Mr. Hahn had.
And so Katie's at the U of M and joined the marching program. Was it cool? Was it everything you ever wanted it to be, a Big Ten marching band?
Coming from Forest Lake, where we just practiced for a few weeks in the summer, all of a sudden having rehearsal like every single day from August to end of November. So definitely was a good kind of like Big Ten band experience.
I went to one U of M game just last, or maybe a year and a half ago. Fantastic. It was just a super impressive and passionate way to kick off a sporting event, and that's the way it should be done. The power of music is vital to that moment on the field.
You're studying or studied psychology.
Yeah.
Commentary on the psychology behind why that works so well. Any thoughts?
No, it's okay. I just got my degree. I should put it to some use.
That's right.
I think it's just kind of like, you know, the energy of it being there. It's loud. It's like, it's not like listening to something over a speaker. It's kind of like the same reason why people go to concerts. It's just more immersive. You can see actually like what's making the noise rather than something like playing over a speaker.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it's
kinetic. Yeah, that's actually happening in front of you.
The band is like in the crowd too at those types of games. So it's just echoing everywhere and just...
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Back to Jake for a second and him being your teacher. I think I read somewhere where you were impressed with the fact that he sent out a survey to his kids and said, what are your extracurriculars and would you like me to attend an event? Tell us a little about that.
In middle school band, there was like I think it was kind of like an envelope where you could write like any upcoming, like if you're in like sports or if you're in like musicals or anything, you could just like write the date and like who from band class was like in it, and then you could just put that in the envelope and you'd show up to things like that. So
Jake would.
Yeah.
So what was the point of that? Tell us what we're trying to figure out there. We're trying to,
I mean, I think to build a culture or to build to build somewhere where people know that you've got their back, you got to show up. Like the biggest gift you can give someone is your time.
Right.
So
that's so cool.
I would ask the kids, like, you know, if you got anything going on, like, I will show up. I'll come to your concert. I'll come to your, you know, I'd go to softball games or volleyball practice or whatever.
Did you have any kids that were in bands that like rock and roll bands that like said, I have a gig when you come out and see my band play?
No.
no side bands out of the band groups?
No.
Okay.
I used to do a lot more of that before I had my own kids too, of like, obviously now my time is, you know, I got 3 little kids at home. So
what was the reaction when you did show up at things? Like what did you find the kids, what's like, wow, like, you know,
I feel like some of the kids would be like, he's actually here. Like he actually, you know, and then they talk about it during class. Like he actually came to my game.
Yeah. That's smart to do that. It's really getting yourself involved in the community and showing the kids you actually aren't just a guy in that classroom that 1 hour of the day. Like you're actually a person out there involved and, you know, interested. That's really cool.
Would you say this team of people taught you that? Or how did you learn that? Or were you just born with that kind of emotional intelligence to know that the kids might respond well to it?
That's a good question. You know, I think my teachers showed up for me. If I was performing, like if I'd played at church, Mrs. Rupar would come, or like Mrs. Briggs would say, hey, do you want to go down and play in Tuba Christmas? Have you ever heard of Tuba Christmas? It's like, no. It's an international event that happens all over the world.
Oh, funny.
That tuba players gather and play Christmas carols. There's one in St. Paul that I've played at a number of times. There's like 200 tuba players that gather.
And everyone's just playing the bass notes?
No, you play the melody and everything else, but I mean, when you got that many tubas in a room, it like shakes the whole city block.
Yeah.
So just
I'd
other
like to see
opportunities
that.
like that, you know, my teachers were like, hey, like you should do this. Hey, like, hey, you want to go do this?
Is that when you got the nickname Tuba Jake?
The nickname Tuba Jake actually came from in 6th grade. I was in honor band, and Mr. Chuck Dodson couldn't remember my name, but I was the only tuba player, so he'd be like, "Hey, tuba."
Mr. Dodson taught me drums. He was my first private lesson teacher, and he was a great guy. And another one that passed too early.
Did Tuba Jake stick, or do you still call Tuba Jake with your pals?
Tattoo?
You got a tattoo? Is this Tuba
No
Jake
tattoos.
on your back? Okay.
A lot of people still call me Tuba Jake. I tell the kids too, like, because they'll hear about the name.
Yeah.
Like, you got to call me, you know, at least Matheson until you like get to be a senior in high school. Then you can call me what you want. But yeah.
So on the topic of kindness and then just sort of lifting a person up and being there when the chips are down, you went to USD and tell us what happened with regard to your vision.
So when I went off to college, obviously I was all gung-ho about I'm going to be a music educator, study performance and do all the things. And then spring of my freshman year, I started noticing that my vision was deteriorating. And, you know, when you're 18, 19 years old, you just like, just ignore it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It'll go away, right?
Mm-hmm.
But by the time I was a sophomore, that following fall, when I went into an eye doctor, I actually was back in Forest Lake at an eye doctor, and he's like, I think there's something else going on. So I was diagnosed with keratoconus, which is like a misshaping of the cornea that it can mask as an astigmatism, but it basically makes everything blurry and hard to see. Makes it progressively worse.
Boy.
So yeah, at that point it was,
your teaching career at this point is threatened.
Yeah.
right. Yeah. I mean, at that time it was like, okay, what's your life trajectory? Like there wasn't reliable procedures or anything at the time. Until luckily a few months later, there was an FDA trial that I was a case file number 1 in the Midwest for a clinical trial that.
And you learned about that through.
Yeah, I learned about the clinical trial through my friends and colleagues and former teachers, Mario Lacque and Carol Rupar. They had another former Forest Lake friend that was working as a nurse at True Vision Institute. And they were talking about like these clinical trials that they were doing. And they were like, I think this might be related to what Jake has.
Really?
So of all things, they ran into my parents at the Taco Days Festival in Scandia, and we're like, hey, like you might want to call this place and find out about this because I think it's related to what Jake has going on. So my parents called and they're like, how do you know about this? Like it's not even published yet.
Wow.
And I was eligible for the trial, and
again, that Forest Lake comes through.
We have some pretty cool teachers up there, as you can tell.
We often talk about Montevideo High School or Hillmurray High School or St. Thomas, but yeah, a lot of Forest Lake. This is that's beautiful, actually. That's really cool. That
I thought
Forest
so
Lake
too.
is pretty essential to your foundation. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Not only that, when he was in limbo with this whole thing, was it Mrs. Briggs brought you back and helped you student teach so you have something to do because you had to take school off?
Yeah. So I took a semester off of school. And basically every day I'd go to Southwest Junior High, where I later replaced Mrs. Briggs when she retired. And I volunteered and taught and helped with jazz band and taught lessons and, organized music and all the like daily tasks that a teacher would have to do. It was basically like on the job training. The circumstances weren't good in my own personal life, but the way that played out, I think, is what led me, number one, to pursue music education for sure. And number two, just to that's pretty much what landed me the job. When you're interviewing for a job against a number of different candidates, like here you've got this guy that doesn't have experience necessarily, but has experience in this building with these kids.
You're already doing the job in a way.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what would you do if you got this job? Like, well, I'm already teaching jazz band here and helping there. And my job interview was in that classroom. It's like
that you spend every day in.
Right, I'm like, I can name all the kids that sit in these seats already. That's a plus, right?
Yeah. That's really cool. So you the clinical. I'm back to the medical issue. The clinical trial worked and it cleared up, or how long did that take?
So the first surgery was in November, and I went back to school in January or February, and the second surgery was in March over spring break. The first surgery had a longer recovery period for whatever reason, where I was like in the dark and like, it was miserable. But ultimately, like the procedures stopped the progression of the disease. So I still have eye issues, but not nearly to the extent that they once were.
That's incredible.
Things are stable. So
that's good. That's fantastic.
As I was reading your story, I couldn't help but keep thinking about Mr. Holland's opus. Mr. Holland didn't want to teach. He wanted to compose music because he wanted to be famous and create this opus that would make lots of money. But he ended up kind of getting this teaching gig, and it was sort of just a job and a paycheck. But then he really loved it and started making connections. They had a kid who was born completely deaf, and it's like life throws these things at you, these curveballs. And there's another saying, man plans, God laughs, because it's like you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I just was very struck with how your teachers all had your back and helped you. And I can't help but think that is fueling what you are doing for the students and giving back to them.
absolutely. Yeah, I was definitely, I'm still inspired by the teachers that I had, and and I still interact with them regularly, which is a super unique and cool thing that I am still in contact with all of my living music teachers.
This is Mr. Hahn. And prior to him, there was a guy that I didn't know, but also was part of the city band, Raleigh Nelson. And I just thought it was a super kind gesture that you put together a musical eulogy for his funeral and directed the kids in 3 different tunes along with the school fight song with that. I don't know if you want to comment on that, but I'm interested in learning about the Tefla thing and Poco a Polka.
Poco a Poco?
Yeah, I want to hear about that.
So Mr. Hahn helped with the marching band when I was a student. Obviously had this giant legacy of marching bands and concert bands, and his symphonic winds that was award-winning and traveled the world. I had him as a high school teacher for 1 year, his last year before he retired, in addition to having lessons with him for several summers on my tuba. And he, I think when he retired, he kind of felt like he was pushed out a little bit. Times in education were changing. Like, is this a priority? Kind of similar to the Mr. Holland's opus clip.
Yeah.
And he made the decision to retire. Him and his wife both retired. So you've got these giants of music education that have taught literally thousands of kids, stepping down to leave it for the next generation. And I corresponded with Mr. Hahn. He was kind of a private guy in his retirement.
Mm-hmm.
But he reached out to me several times after I started teaching of like, here, you might be interested in the history of this, or have you thought of doing this with the band? Not in like a pushy, like you're doing it wrong kind of a way, but just in like a helpful, kind of behind the scenes way. And he would always answer if I asked a question, or, we'd talk once in a while about the history of things, or, when a newspaper article would come out, and he'd reply to me and say, hey, this is all wrong. I'm like, yeah, I know, I didn't write it.
So he was still kind of connected.
Yeah.
But yet sort of passed you the baton and sort of kept like showing you interesting things that he was finding. That's cool.
And I had a unique connection with Mrs. Hahn as well. I started teaching at Wyoming Elementary mid-year. I graduated in December, started in January. And there had been a long-term sub, and the long-term sub that was at Wyoming Elementary was Mrs. Hahn. So I was overlapping with her, and like she was in a position where she was able to have some overlap with me, to be like, here's what you can do with these kids, or here's what I was doing. You might want to try this. So she was kind of like my, hands on the ground mentor for teaching elementary music, which I had no intention of ever doing.
That'd be tough.
Like, hey, you're going to teach these 633 kids about music. Here you go. I was like 2 weeks out of college, but she was an influential mentor too. And they both were just genuine, kind human beings that were involved in their community and their church.
And they passed it on. It's still going. That's exactly what they were trying to do, to keep it rolling. I'm going to channel John for a second.
Go for it.
Okay. This is for either of you guys. What's the pinnacle for a field or marching band? Like, I'm thinking, like, if the marching band is it Macy's Day Parade? Is it the Rose Bowl? What's the pinnacle for march or for a field event? Those are the two kind of big categories, right? From what I'm understanding.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you answer that, Katie.
Yeah, maybe she might have a different opinion than you do.
Well, I think personally, it's not like what you do as a band. I think it's more of just like the community that's like created within the band, which I think we've talked about this before. Okay. Just like, because like you can do like a bunch of fun things, or like you can do like Macy's Day, you could do Rose Bowl, you could be at the Super Bowl even. But I personally think like none of that matters if like the program itself isn't good. Like, because like if like the directors aren't talking to people, if like just the band as a whole isn't like a good environment or community to be in, it's like really competitive or whatever. I think it doesn't matter what you've done at that point. I think it all just depends on like the community itself.
It takes the fun out of it. Why are you doing it if it's not for fun, if it's not a good experience, if everyone's competing for the best position or whatever, right? Yeah, that's a pretty good approach to anything, I would say.
Yeah.
I have a piece of media to help illustrate what Katie just said, but from a local news personality that we all know and love.
I definitely believe they're smiling down.
Smiling down and appreciating the finale. The same battle hymn of the Republic that ended every school concert directed by Marcus's dad.
How blessed are we to have teachers like that in this state?
I know, it's really hard. I was in band, and we had an amazing band teacher, Mr. Zeron, and our little teeny Prescott High School went to all of these amazing events, Vikings games, halftime shows, St. Paul Winter Carnival.
It's a big impact. Yeah.
Bands are like family, so thank you for that wonderful family.
Yeah,
and
beautiful
those kids.
story.
Look how touched she is. I couldn't believe that reaction when that report played, but did you catch that when it happened last year too?
Yeah. It meant something to her, obviously.
Yeah, I think for me too, like you talk about what's the pinnacle experience of a marching band.
Yeah.
For me, it's always been, what do the kids want to do? And I think why Katie has been so empowered and so, played such a big role in this is that even when she was in 7th grade, it's like, well, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want it to be? It's not about me. So I think for me, the pinnacle experience is when the kids are all happy, kids are engaged, the kids are really excited about it. A band director can plan tours to Europe and, to go play at Disney World or what, there's a million opportunities out there that you can do. And it seems like a big deal, but really in my mind, it's what's going to make the kids feel like they're a part of something powerful.
That's fantastic. That is what you want. I mean, I would think as a kid, like, to go to Europe with band would have been like the cool thing to do, but I'm sure that's just a logistic nightmare for a band director or a parents, and extra expense, I'm sure, all that stuff. But at the same time, you also want to push them a little bit, right? You want to push them to find goals and to Katie is that kind of person where she was like, why don't we do these cool formations? Why don't we keep going? Like kids will just do nothing if you don't push them a little bit.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is my guess, as I'm not a teacher.
They need a compass.
I can. A teacher has 2 jobs. Fill young minds with knowledge, yes. But more important, give those minds a compass so that knowledge doesn't go to waste. Now,
It seems like you got to work right away with rebuilding the marching program. Tell us about the innovations you've done to try and make this thing happen. Because it's now 140 members strong.
Yeah.
Up from 30?
Yeah. When I took it over in 2016, well, maybe not took it over, but because there was no band in 2015. So when I brought it back in 2016, it was the summer after I'd been at Wyoming Elementary doing general music. So I didn't have, if it hadn't been for my years of volunteer work, I wouldn't have had a connection with the secondary band kids to even like, who is this guy that's running a marching band? At that point, I'd gotten hired to be at Southwest Junior High, but I think the years of volunteer work that I did gave me that connection with the kids, and the goal, the goal all along, I think it does tie really well to that Mr. Hahn quote. One of my last email with him before he tragically passed away, he's like, keep your eyes on the prize, poco a poco, which is a musical term for little by little. So little by little, you build a community. Little by little, you build experiences.
Little by little, you learn a piece of music by practicing. Yeah. You can apply it to anything. And that's really what you've been doing. You did a greenhouse thing, and it was pretty cool and raised like a lot of money within a very short period of time. So I want to hear that story.
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, I was approached about like, hey, you should apply for this Fund a Grant thing through TEFLA, and TEFLA does crowd fundraising by way of their events for to support school programs and opportunities for kids. And I applied for it thinking like, oh yeah, like it'd be nice if we could replace like one sousaphone, because one sousaphone at the time was $7,000.
Wow.
And some of the instruments that we were using were probably on the shelf when my grandparents attended Forest Lake High School. It's like this is held together with duct tape and hopes and dreams. So we were selected as the Fund a Grant for TEFLA, and they used to hold a gallery kind of a thing at Waldock Farms in Lino Lakes, and I brought the band down to play, and the auctioneer kind of kicked off of like, who can donate $100. And Katie and I were there. She was a student at the time. I was expecting, we might make a couple $1,000s, be able to replace something that'd be super awesome. Yeah. And within like 10 minutes, there was over $50,000 raised.
What?
It was the biggest fundraiser they've done in the history of the organization.
Was it the auctioneer that good or what? People were excited. People were just
I think it's the pride of Forest Lake, and there's a memory there of the band, and people want it back.
That's so
cool.
Would
you agree, Jake?
It's absolutely the legacy and the pride of Forest Lake, people that have gone through the program or even just been a part of the community. I was in shock.
Yeah, you had to feel good about that.
That's awesome.
Wow.
And so we're looking at a new fundraiser you've got up right now. You're just about at 18K, which was your goal. What was this to raise money for, this latest one?
Well, the original goal was 15,000. This website keeps bumping it up, which works for me. The $15,000 will get the band to the University of Minnesota this fall to play on the field alongside the Gopher Band.
Oh, fun!
Cool.
And then, in addition to that, it covers a bunch of our costs for our performance trips, and we've got some more drumline equipment to replace. One of the big priorities with the marching band is always, like I say all the time, like money is not a barrier to be here. So we've got a whole scholarship fund and some crowdsourcing this way and through businesses that make sure that everybody can be a part of that legacy without it being a burden on families.
So instruments break down over time, especially when it's generations of kids playing them. And what instrument are you surprised that it's lasts longer than it should? Like, what's one thing you're like, this thing just doesn't die? Some kick drum or something, or a heavy bass drum. What is it that doesn't break down as much as you think?
When you're playing outdoors,
the
drums break down pretty quick. They say that like the expected lifespan of a marching snare drum is like 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, I suppose.
I've got a sousaphone that I bought at an auction that you saw in that clip from when I was in junior high. That's from 1918.
What?
So it's 100 and
okay. So that's
old.
The kind of instrument. That's what I'm looking for. That's the kind of instrument that will just kind of keep going if you keep it working and cleaned and.
Yeah, I mean it's beat to hell. Looks like it's been.
Yeah. But that doesn't matter for Tuba Jake. I mean,
well, it sounds like
Nigel
from Spinal Tap and his guitars. He just babies them, right, and wipes them with a diaper.
Yeah. That's really cool. That stuff is interesting to me. Like, band gear goes, and I was watching that marching band. Like, these poor kids, they got to carry that thing, and they're high school kids or whatever, junior high kids. They're not always going to be the most careful with these things,
right.
Sometimes. So I imagine that stuff needs to be replaced. You got to keep it serviced.
Yep.
Well, I'm glad we got to keep people that website to be involved in that fundraiser, help out a little bit.
Is there anything we can do to help get the word out about any other initiatives? For sure, want to just share our gratitude to Forest Lake and, first of all, the two of you for coming here. But as we near the 4th of July parade, is there any message you've been sharing with parents, the community, Forest Lake in general, to understand what you're doing? I know that they'll love hearing these stories.
I think for me, the biggest event of the season is our showcase concert. The 4th of July probably has the most exposure, and that's what you think of when you think of the marching band. You think of the parade. But for us, the showcase concert, because if you're along the parade route, you see the band for 1 minute, right?
Yep.
And then they're gone.
Yep.
The showcase concert held at the high school in July is kind of like our homecoming, so to speak, where you fill the crowds and talk about the program, play all the music, recognize all the sponsors, and recognize the kids that have worked hard all season.
And that's where they get to show all the stuff they've been doing. Marching is just kind of walking, but when you get to show a full show of stuff they've been rehearsing and working on for a whole year, of course they want to show that to people.
And Jake delegated that task to Katie to create those formations. I don't know if
cool.
there's anything you can share there with doing that, because you've never done that before.
Yeah. So obviously at the U of M, we do a whole 17-minute pregame show and then a whole 15-minute halftime show.
Mm-hmm.
So marching it and doing it is a completely different side than sitting down and writing, where each person stands, each person moves from here to here, and it's just, and then aligning it with the music is just.
I feel like there's math involved. Could you use AI for that somehow to line it up? Because it's math. You got to get people.
Mr. Hahn used to use graph paper.
You have to.
It was all just graph.
That makes sense.
I've tried to use AI. It doesn't work.
Probably, yeah. It doesn't understand.
Yeah, it's you pretty much just put the football field on a grid.
Yep.
I mean, I have a program called Pyware that I used to write it, but before you can even go into that program, you have to pull out the graph paper, make the formations, figure out how many people are standing in what side of the field, and making sure there's a spot for everybody. But
I think even my brain goes, there's got to be math involved because of steps and pacing and timing, right? It's amazing.
Yeah.
And then rehearsing it. That's one thing to get it planned out. Now you have to get kids to actually run through it and make sure everyone's that takes a lot of work on their end to be patient and to follow through and stay straight. And, that's, I don't know how they do that. I don't know how you do that. That's amazing. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of.
I have a story for you with regard to that. During one of our performances, Mr. Hahn found a megaphone. Someone had left it behind from another band. And other than that, he had been yelling just to kind of project, because we're a 200-member band. But he's it's amazing now that just the whole culture responds so much better because I'm not yelling. It's louder, but I'm just using my regular voice. So I just thought that was funny, and I think about that sometimes. Just little memories like that.
Probably saved his voice too.
Yeah.
That's how I communicate with them. I have a megaphone.
Do you have a megaphone?
I do have a megaphone.
He loved that thing, and then somehow I think it broke or got lost or someone took it. We were a bunch of hoodlums back in the 80s. But well, this has been so fun for me. Steve, any other questions? Or
I just think it's fantastic that you're continuing. Music is so important. Me and Jeff always talk about it. John believes it too. This show ends up going a little too sportsy sometimes, and I love when we get to talk about music. And this is kind of a weird thing where it's kind of sports and music are kind of involved in this and what you guys are doing. But I'm so glad you're doing it. Keep doing it. Kids need it. We need it. And thank you for being here.
Thanks, Jake Matheson and Katie DuBois.
And off we go.
Woo!